Hey everybody, thanks for checking out this week's episode of the pod. Stoob here, real quick, before we get started, Gazer's power went out during recording, so if you're listening and you're watching on either platform here, just keep in mind that we had a few technical difficulties, and I did my best to work around them in the end, but I appreciate you sticking through it all and listening and or watching this. Take it easy, much love, and enjoy the episode.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Gazer Beam 2K back here with Steuben. It's the Gust podcast. This is episode 11?
That is correct. 11 episodes
Episode
of
11.
us being psychopaths making a podcast, because, you know, that's what everybody does, right?
I mean, that's like the common thing to do, right?
Yeah, of course. We have to. We totally have to do it. Everyone
Episode
else does
11. Stubby, how you feeling, man? How you feeling today, Ben?
I'm exhausted, man. So last week we talked about how I worked all week because the boss man who owns the card shop that I work at went to a convention for the weekend.
Right.
He came back and he got COVID. So I've been there every day, and I worked 6 overtime hours today. And I even decided to play Digimon with the people that were there because it was kind of slow. And I haven't played in so long that just some junk deck I built bodies the best deck in the game at the moment, and I won.
So, are you becoming a Digimon main now?
No. God, no.
Should we change this to like Imperial Dramon's treasure chest or something like that instead of Gust to win?
No. I played against 3 Imperial Dramons today, and I won 2-0 against all of them with Terriermon. Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah.
I gotta learn to start playing Digimon more. I know Terriermon's a rookie though. I know that much. So.
But other than that, I'm tired. But we got some things coming up this week. But more importantly, we are joined by none other than Grant Manley, aka TricRoar, here on the Twitch. Welcome in, Grant.
I like how you didn't ask about my week or my weekend.
No,
you just go straight to Grant.
yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
He's an important man with important things to do.
I have a life. Okay, that's fine.
All right, Gazer. How was your week?
Grant?
How was your week, Gazer?
Well, since you happened to ask, no, this would have been my last week of work, but I made the controversial decision to do summer school.
Okay.
So I still have 3 more weeks left now. But some of the 6th graders who graduated, they graduated Friday. They made me a little sign. I don't know if it's going to show up, but it says, "We will miss you, Mr. Reed." It's not going to show, is it? Is anything showing?
I kind of see Squidward's like face.
They made a handsome Squidward for some reason,
fading in and out.
Yeah, "We will miss you, Mr. Reed." They do
really
handsome
working.
Squidward. I don't know why, but I thought it was kind of cool. I'm probably going to keep it for another week. Like, that's cool.
When you don't have the background
6th grade
on.
graduation. Yeah, I know. 6th grade graduation. My stepdaughter graduated as well. She's going on to high school. She'll be a freshman. So, it's that time of year. But I did manage to hop in a couple of IRL tourneys.
Okay.
I happened to win one of them. Won 4-packs. I won 3-0. And I'm playing Reggie now. I'm a filthy Reggie guy. I'm a Reggie main. It's a really good deck. People like Azul's been playing it a lot. It's doing pretty well in different tournaments here and there.
Okay.
It has a couple of like hard counters, but other than that, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the Card Trooper stream this weekend, and I saw Reggie on there. I think it was Pramawat playing it in top 8. So
his build was so different. I wish we had someone we could ask about, like, who like knows a lot about deck building and different decks and meta stuff like that, because I want to know why that list is built like that.
Yeah, well, Gazer, go ahead and just reintroduce Grant again.
Oh, wait,
since I rudely didn't ask about your week or your weekend.
Exactly. But no, we do have Grant Manley with us on the pod today. Grant, how are you doing? TricRoar, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, honors all.
Hey, thanks for joining us, man. I've been chasing you for about 2 weeks. I'm like, come on, Grant, come on. And I know you're busy with the coaching thing and the playing thing and the testing and just being awesome at Pokemon cards, but you finally made some time for us, and I appreciate you, man. I will pay you. I promise I want to pay you. I got to give you something, man.
No, it's okay. I'm happy
But this
to
is
be
basically
here.
like a free coaching session because people who listen to this are going to pick up so many different tips and things from you.
Well, for me, it's like free advertising, so
yeah, that's true too.
Yeah,
that's true too.
There's 2 sides to every coin, man.
True.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and do our 6th prize turn. Gazer and I are going to ask you 6 random questions about anything really. Could be Pokemon, could not be. Just blurt out the first and fastest answer you can come up with. Gazer, take it away.
right, 6 prize turn. Question number 1. What's your biggest accomplishment?
Probably just being rank 1 in poke for a little while, or top 4 Nats 2015.
Okay.
On your main deck right now, current sleeves, deck box, and playmat that you're using as all together.
The sleeves are Dragon Shields. I switch like the color of them like every tournament.
Good.
The deck
Right.
box is a very worn down like dragons deck box. It's actually pretty cool, but it's like all scratched up now. It's kind of sad. And then the playmat is like a Lugia playmat from some regional.
Let's hear this here. Let's start a GoFundMe. Let's get Grant a new deck box. Let's get this guy what he deserves. Come on. Question number 3. Favorite cartoon growing up?
Maybe Ben 10, actually.
Now there was like 3 different Ben 10s. You talking about the original one?
Yeah, the original one.
Okay, there we go. I'll take that.
Are you a stand for pineapple on pizza?
I think pineapple on pizza is fine, but I don't want to catch too much.
Okay.
I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to die on the hill. That
Right on.
it's optimal.
He's playing it safe.
I'll eat it.
I feel it. Play it safe. Is this a real deck or what the heck? Reggie Gigas.
I actually think Reggie is pretty good. So yeah, it's a real deck.
Okay. Outside of Pokemon, what is your favorite meme on the internet right now?
Favorite meme?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sign can't stop me because I can't read is a pretty good meme.
Oh, from Arthur?
Yeah.
DW, yeah. Oh, man, okay, good. I like that. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I mean, with the pineapple, I like it too, but I won't go out of my way to order it, Like, if it's there, fine.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that.
And if you say
I thought you
were
going to say something controversial, Steuben. I got worried.
No, if you say you like it too much, then people will come after you, and I don't get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But also, if you say you don't like it, they come after you as well.
Yeah, that's personal choice.
If I had to choose Team Pineapple or Team No Pineapple, I would join Team Pineapple.
Okay, there you have it.
If it was black or white, I like that. So
you heard it here on the Gust to Win. Please don't attack us.
We stand all pizzas, please.
Except for anchovies, you can get out.
I don't think I've ever had anchovies.
Me either. I mean, I haven't either. So that's why I just leave it at just, hey, pizza's pizza.
Yeah.
Did my arms just disappear?
Yeah, they kind of are.
Whoa.
Gazer's in the multiverse of madness over here. Bending
Still need
reality.
to see that movie.
Oh man, it's so good. I won't.
Yeah, it is. No, I like the part with the Powerpuff Girls. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Superman and Goku, and they fight.
Hey.
Sorry.
All right, I guess I don't need to see it now.
Yeah, we've ruined it for you. So recently, go ahead, Gazer. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No. So recently, just this season, you've hit top accomplishments. You got 10th at New Jersey, 22nd or 23rd at Indy, and then you also won both of the full grip events just a few weeks ago. So you've been a busy player. How do you feel about all of those placements?
The full grip wins were great, of course. It's like the best possible outcome. Can't ask for anything better.
Yeah.
Definitely got a little lucky in the standard format one. Played Mew, so you got a high roll a little bit. And as far as like the the official events this season hasn't been going that great. I mean, 0 top 8s, but I mean, I'm not going to complain. It's still fine. I'm not like
I mean, it's better than a lot of people. So
yeah, it's it's like kind of okay, but it would be cool to get a top 8 in there, but that's okay. It's only 3 events. I went to EUIC too and didn't even make day 2 at that one. But yeah, it's like fine. It's like it is what it is. Still got Milwaukee and NAIC and Worlds, so looking forward to those.
Just when you went to New Jersey, and that's New Jersey was after NAIC, right? I mean, not NAIC.
After Indy.
It was after Indy. Okay. See, when you went to New Jersey, what were your expectations going into that? I mean, I know you wanted top 8, but top 10 is still an accomplishment. But I mean, were you expecting to be even top 10 or?
Yeah, I mean, top 10 is still great. Like I did bubbles technically, but so yeah, it was fine. It was funny for that tournament. I actually had a little bit of a deck crisis. So the deck that I ended up playing was Malamar VMAX with Arceus and Jolteon with the memory capsule. So I thought that deck was pretty good, and it's pretty funny because I didn't actually get to test it that much, so I wasn't really expecting like anything one way or the other. Just kind of like, it's actually a pretty funny deck because you kind of just play your cards and try and lock your opponent, and it's very relaxing because the deck is super consistent. And you don't have a lot of you don't have to think that much with it, really. It's really not that intensive for thinking compared to something like an Inteleon deck, which is what I had been playing before that. So yeah, I honestly kind of thought I was trolling a little bit with the Malamar VMAX Marnie path plus Jolteon. It's just kind of like you cheese your opponent out of games. And if they have a B-Barrel in their deck, you pretty much automatically lose because you cannot lock them. So yeah, I honestly would have been not surprised to win the tournament, and I also would have been not surprised to like completely whiff day 2. So it wasn't a very stressful one for
Okay.
me.
Now, here's what I find interesting. You said that deck is kind of, you lock them out, you turn your brain off, you don't have to think super hard.
Yeah.
That's in contrast to some of the decks you love playing. You love control. You love the control.
Yes.
I mean, there's like control in that. No, not like control, but there is control in that deck as well. But controlling a regular basic control deck is so much thinking and the thoughts and the ideas and the big brain plays. What draws you to control so much? Because you play so many control decks.
It's so I mean, honestly, the main thing is I like to win, and if there's a broken control deck, I think that will give me the best chance of winning. So yeah, control a lot of the time. It's like you have to be very aware of the meta and what people are going to play and what cards specifically they'll have in their deck. Like sometimes, like Shock Lock and Expanded, for example, loses if your opponent has like 2 Switch in their deck. But most of the time, decks and Expanded are reliant on Guzma and Floatstone, which don't work. So it's kind of like those kinds of little details that you have to be very aware of when you're playing a control deck, and then you can exploit the way the decks are built. But to that point, to the earlier point about control usually being broken, and that's why I play it, it's not in the current standard format. Control, I've put a lot of hours into various stall and control decks for the past couple months, and it's just not good. It doesn't beat anything consistently. It's really kind of sad because I would like it to be good, but it's just not. So even though I could play a control deck and maybe win a few rounds, I really don't think any form of stall or control is good at all in standard right now. So
do you feel like that's because of Arceus, Inteleon, and Bibarel?
It's most
it's gotta be the Beaver, right?
It's a combination of those things and like a lot of other things. So like decks have so many ways to accelerate energy. They have so many ways to switch. They have so many ways to gust, and all of those things. It's just very hard to combat all of those all at once. Like Mew is, for example, super fast. It can accelerate energy. It can switch a million times, and it can boss a million times. And so can a deck with two boss and a pow pad, or a deck with like 2 boss and 4 cross switcher or something like that. So like all the gust can disrupt your combos, your setup, the speed of the decks, and the energy acceleration is like every deck can have all of those, and it's just like way too much to deal with. So I don't think control is good. If someone does make a good control deck, I will be happy and major props, because I think it's a lot harder to do in this format than like any other format. But I have not found it.
Now I got a couple things, and then I'll swing it back to you, Stu.
Go for it.
Can I interest you in Zoroark control?
You'd have to be a little more specific. I've been trying a lot of variants of that.
Well, give me some of the things you've been trying with it, because I've been trying as well, and it's when it works, it's so beautiful, and then when it doesn't, it's just like, wow, why am I playing this? But what have you been trying with it?
So there's Miltank now, which is good. Miltank's a pretty good card. So yeah, I think Miltank's got to be in there somewhere, just because it can slow the game down. It can force your opponent to burn a lot of resources. And in the best case, you can just win the game with it if your opponent doesn't have a good answer. So there's that. I mean, that doesn't really have to do with Zoroark, of course, but you play them together just because Miltank's so good. And then Zora can transform into like Jolteon for the memory capsule. It can transform into Mightyena Mightyena's not really a control card, but it's kind of like the best way to take out Mew VMAX to deal with that. And it can transform into Gorbis, which can stop quick shooting, which is like a way that some decks can get free prize cards, even if they're locked, right? So I don't really, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of like other cards that I've been playing it with. But one thing I have been trying is infinite loops. So like Sander has been popularizing decks like Eldegoss loop, so infinite Cheryl with Umbreon, and then the one before that, which was just like you lock them and then you infinite Eldegoss. So I was thinking about playing decks like that, like with infinite Cheryl or infinite Sharon's Care. So theoretically, if you have a Miltank in the active with like a cape or a Blissey with a cape, most decks cannot deal with a Blissey with a cape or a Miltank with a cape if you're able to heal it infinitely. The problem is they can Gust around it, and they maybe can take a couple prizes while you set up. And also you have to get to the bottom of the deck. You have to get to 0 cards in deck to actually infinite that. So yeah, I don't know. They just haven't really worked out. But I'm curious if you have other ideas as well.
Gazer had a power outage, so he's frozen now for a minute.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to wait for him to come back. But honestly, like I feel like too with as soon as they put Sander on stream, with that deck, everyone kind of saw like, okay, this is how we deal with it now that I have like a case in point to watch against it later on that night. So everybody who like made day 2 there was just like, oh, okay, cool. If I come up against this, now I have access to like kind of have an idea how he's going to play his game out and not be so shocked in the middle of the match. Do you feel like the massive explosion of content and how much games are televised basically at this point, do you feel like is that ruining Control as well?
I actually think that's not why. I think even with people like Sander, if he has a game streamed at UIC or whatever, I don't think that really matters. People are not going to study that deck anyway, for the most part. If I play against 9 opponents in day 1 of a regional, I would expect 7 of them to still have absolutely no idea what the deck is, what it does, how to play against it. So I don't think that's why. I think it's just the meta, like kind of we discussed before about the decks are just too good and they have too many ways to beat it. So I really don't think that the surprise factor. I think for one, the deck still has a surprise factor, but I don't think that is even matters. I think even just your average Joe with a Palkia deck will beat your control deck just because control isn't good enough.
Yeah, and I mean, we just saw Palkia take 8 seeds of the top 8 in Australia this weekend's regional, and that's kind of a statement because I think it's been a long time since we've seen like pure single strategy in a top 8.
Yeah, that never happens. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like with the first regional of the season, I mean they had a lot of Mew there compared to everywhere else in their top 8, but to see just straight 8 Palkia decks, that's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I would honestly, Palkia is just so good that it was able to do that. But also, I think the Turbo Palkia deck and the Palkia Inteleon deck are probably different enough to call 2 different decks, even though they are both Palkia variants. I mean, obviously, it's still correct that top 8 was entirely Palkia.
Yeah.
But I think the Turbo version is a little bit different enough. Like it can pretty consistently get a turn 1 attack with Suicune, so it's not entirely on the back foot when going second. As much as like any other deck in the format besides Mew, and then it's just very turbo and doesn't have the Inteleon engine, so the 2 decks operate quite differently. But yeah, at the end of the day, Palkia is still the main attacker in both. Palkia is doing a little bit better than I don't think anyone would expect it to take the entire top 8, but that's also probably due to the specific meta. And the tournament there is smaller than a lot of the regionals over in the US.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the top players there, if it's a lot easier for all the top players to play the same deck in Australia, basically, if that makes sense. So if they're all going to play Palkia, then that's what's going to be in the entire top 8. Whereas over here, it's like, first of all, the tournaments are so much bigger, and there's a lot more. All the top players are going to play the same deck basically for the most part.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot more variance outside of Australia when it comes to like the metagame usually.
yeah, I think if you were to tell me like the odds of, or have me guess the odds of the top 8 being the same deck in every, or at an American regional, I think that would be like 0% or less than 1% of that
Yeah,
happening.
if it does happen, then I guess we'll eat our words, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. But that said, I mean, the Palkia deck is very good. It's better than I initially expected it would be, and the turbo version that they came up with is broken. It's very, very good. It's so it definitely deserved to win that tournament, regardless of like the meta. I think the turbo version. I looked at it and I was like, that's kind of weird. Whatever. And then I played against it a few times, and I'm like, yeah, this deck seems pretty broken actually. So
yeah, it's got the Muse, it's got the
very good deck.
Crobat, really going for that Melanie super quick. The Suicune for the turn 1 attack. Yeah, it seems absolutely insane. Do you feel like a lot of players going to Milwaukee will pick up that list with just like a week of testing and playing it and go for it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think obviously the last regional, Melbourne, I believe it was, um, or yeah, that was the regional, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was probably the best time to play that deck because you have such a good deck and you like have it pretty refined, and at least it looked pretty refined to me. And then you just smash everyone with it, and no one sees it coming. So now people at least have it on their radar. So some people will like test against it and have a little bit better of an idea of what's going on. And that's not going to invalidate the deck. I think the deck's still going to be great, and it's still going to be played. And honestly, I might even play it, but it's not going to catch people off guard or surprise them because everyone was expecting to play against Palkia and Teleon, right? And this deck's a little bit faster and honestly can be a little bit scarier with 4 boss, and you're just going to get bossed every single turn.
Oh yeah, it seems way more lethal.
So it's not quite as much of a surprise, but it's still good. So yeah, I think people will play it, and yeah, you should probably be expecting to play against it.
Do you think people are gonna hop on the Pikachu hype that we've started to see a little bit recently too? Yeah, even
Like
more so, like the
flying
flying and
Pikachu,
surfing.
surfing
Yeah,
Pikachu. It's just very difficult to use those cards. So
yeah.
like if you have a functional deck that can use either of them, you're probably going to beat Palkia, but I mean, it's very hard probably to beat anything else. Like I don't see how you would beat Mew. I haven't really seen a lot of those decks, so I can't really say for sure, but it seems like maybe at best you could beat the Palkia decks with something like that, but it would be very hard to have like an actual deck built around those.
Yeah, I've
Around
seen a
those
lot
cards.
of lot of hype and a lot of buzz like on Twitter and like Limitless of people like just really wanting to try these flying Pikachu decks. A lot of content creators are putting them there like, "Oh, top 10 decks to try, top 5 decks to play." Like I feel like it's maybe just partially a meta manipulation at that point when everyone's kind of saying it.
I mean, and then even then you might not even auto win Palkia. Another thing that people are potentially sleeping on is Mew, because Mew is fine into Palkia. It's not like one of them auto wins the other or anything. I think Mew is like reasonably okay into Palkia, and so and I think a lot of people are gonna play Mew. I legitimately believe that you will play probably on average more Mew. Like Mew is probably gonna be the most played deck. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. I guess I'm not, not going to die on that hill, but I think there's a reasonable chance Mew is the most played deck. Not only because Palkia is still very new, and a lot of people will probably already have Mew cards, but also just because that, in combination with the fact that Mew's very good, and a lot of the decks that are geared to beat Palkia are not geared to beat Mew, and the fact that Mew is also okay into Palkia as well. And then also if you play catchers in Mew, then the Diancie is not going to matter.
But no, okay. So Grant, I do want to touch a little bit on Milwaukee. I don't know if we're ready for that yet, Stu, or what do you think?
No, go for it.
Yeah. Based off what happened with the Australian regional that just happened, all the Palkias everywhere. Do you see anything like maybe Jolteon making a return? Because I know Urshifu's down now. So what do you think about that?
Like Jolteon VMAX or
Yeah.
Memory Capsule? Okay.
I mean, why not both?
I think Jolteon VMAX has to play. If you mean both in the same deck, I mean Jolteon VMAX has to play Inteleon for quick shooting. So I don't think it would play Memory Capsule, but I think Memory Capsule Jolt is like fine. I think it was Memory Capsule Jolt was probably best, like honestly for New Jersey and Vancouver. when the meta was like all Inteleon, and now it's not quite as much. We don't really know exactly. Like, there's a lot of turbo builds out there. Like Turbo Palk now is. I mean, I'm sure people will still play Palkia and Inteleon, but as far as Jolteon VMAX, I don't really see it ever coming back, just because every deck is playing Manaphy. So it kind of gets collateralized by the Radiant Greninja. So like every deck that cares about being sniped is playing a Manaphy, just because otherwise Palkia will go turn 2 Radiant Greninja, wipe your,
take out both your Drizzles.
Yeah, so it's but you are right about Rapid Strike Urshifu not being as big. It's not hyped like at all. I actually think Urshifu could be good, and I wouldn't be surprised to see like toward top 8 NAIC with it. It would not be a surprise at all. I think Urshifu is pretty good, but yeah, it's not hyped at all. No one's really playing it, so. But on the other side of that is, of course, the Radiant Greninja. So Manaphy is like probably even bigger than it ever has been. So I think Jolteon VMAX does not like that.
Now, in this meta, how would you play Urshifu? With everything, the way it stands right here, right now, if you had to build a deck today based around Urshifu, based off everything we know right now, how would you play that?
I mean, you would probably play it like Tord has been playing it. I mean, not just Tord, but Tord has been having a very strong string of tournament runs with Urshifu. So I think you play it similar to that, even though that was last format and now it's this format. I think it doesn't necessarily have to change that much. You do need the Yoga Loop because, again, there are a lot of Manaphies, like I said, but Urshifu kind of is a bit more versatile than Jolteon VMAX, but Jolteon VMAX only has one mode, attach Max Thunder Rumble, and if they have a Manaphy, it's really hard to deal with, whereas Urshifu can deal with it a little bit better. I don't know if I would play Urshifu. I'm not very practiced with it. I haven't been testing it at all. So it's kind of hard for me to give a more informed opinion on that. I think it's like potentially okay. You definitely have to play Baby Moltres to beat Mew. And then you would have to test against Palkia and see if you even beat that. So I don't know if you do or not.
So then heading into Milwaukee and NAIC, I assume there's going to be Palkia. What's the answer? What do we do? Tell us. Help us.
I really don't know. It's like, it's so good. The Palkia deck, I was thinking like Jolteon Memory Capsule's a pretty good counter to Palkia and Inteleon.
It slows it down, right?
Yeah, to Palkia and Inteleon, it's great. But then the Turbo Palkia comes in, surprises everyone. And Jolteon Memory Capsule is like barely relevant against that deck. It like you can use it, but it doesn't. They're still going to set up just fine. So it's like almost a kind of a waste of resources to go for that against Turbo Palk. So it's like kind of throws a wrench in my plans a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think if you want to beat Palkia, Intel, Jolteon Memory Capsule is fine. I was saying that Mew is also okay into Palk. You may have to play the catchers to get around the Diancie that the turbo version plays. But yeah, I don't really want to do that. But I don't really know. Palkia is quite broken, so I think Turbo Palkia is pretty broken actually.
It is.
So
Palkia is
I'm
good.
still working on it. And like what I'm going to do about it, if I'm going to just play it or counter it or whatever, I don't really know.
You think it's instantly now?
Still like very new.
You think it's the BDIF now?
Yeah, I mean, I think either that or Mew. I haven't played those two decks against each other. Like the Turbo Palk deck is still so new. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I do think it's relevant enough in the meta that you kind of need to base your decision making and testing around it, though, just because it was so dominant over in Australia, and that in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean everything, but the fact that it was dominant in Australia and it's like actually just really good, like if you play the deck a few times against other like meta decks, it's good. It's very good. So
yeah, it seems insane. Honestly, it really does.
I was thinking like
fast.
Another thing is that I thought would beat it would be Miltank, because they only have Radiant Greninja and Starmie, which only does 50 damage. But it goes through Miltank's ability. But it doesn't really like work because they have 4 boss. So what would happen is if I want to set up anything else on my board, it would just be boss, 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 and just delete the board. So the board's either going to be just Miltanks one way or the other. Whether you choose to only put in Miltanks or if everything else just gets bossed. And then the Miltanks can actually get taken out because of Diancie does 20 damage, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it kind of is because Miltank's not doing that much damage. Miltank will 2-shot Diancie at best, maybe 3-shot, depending on if you have any bench Pokemon. and powerful energies and all that stuff. But it will two-shot Diancie at best, and then you also have the Zigzagoons and the Radiant Greninja, which never gets one-shotted, and then the Starmie on top of that. So usually you can fight through quite a few Miltanks. So I don't know, maybe if you played Blissey with that, it would. I think Blissey Miltank is pretty good actually, but I just haven't tested it enough. So yeah, Blissey Miltank might be able to take.
I haven't played a lot of it either. I think Miltank can really, just a tech of a Miltank can really, slow like you mentioned earlier when we were talking about control. A Miltank can just slow your opponent down for a turn or two and just to give you the time you need, buy you some time. I feel like Palkia, I mean, it doesn't even need the ability to be just broken. I feel like it's just really good. I was gonna say, if you can shut down the ability, you can buy yourself a couple turns, but the ability is just like icing on the cake. You know what I mean? It just adds to it. It doesn't really necessarily need it. So it's a tough matchup.
They do kind of need the ability for Radiant Ninja, but there's so much they can do besides that. So
what I meant by that is like they don't need it right away. Like something like like something like Arceus. I guess Arceus don't need the ability right away either. But I feel like with freaking Palkia, you could just sit back, until you can bump the stadium, you can bump whatever, slowing you down, and then boom, ability when you need it, in the clutch for your Ninja just to charge another Palkia. It's just bonus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to like slow them down and apply a lot of pressure. So like Miltank cannot apply pressure because it doesn't do any damage. So
do you feel like any deck that just like plays double turbo could just like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna slap a Miltank in and call it a day?
I don't think one Miltank actually beats anything on its own. Even the decks that Miltank is best against can still beat one with B-Barrel because Miltank just doesn't do any damage, especially with double turbo.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because it's the easiest way to power up a Miltank is double turbo, but then like you're doing no damage and then you're doing no damage minus 20 damage. It's like it's just tough.
Yeah, especially if they don't bench anything at all either. So like
in previous formats, there's been a lot of safeguard type effects. Like we've seen this a million times before. And a lot of times you would get like a free win against like 2 decks just by having this card in your deck. But that's really like not the case anymore. Mew, Palkia, Arceus, and Teleon. Even Arceus B-Barrel. Like B-Barrel anything can still deal with just one Miltank. So you need a little bit more on top of that for the Miltank to actually beat anything by itself.
Okay. Something to keep in mind. I remember who said it. I was like, oh, what if you just shove one in your deck? If you have 59 cards, you can't figure out your 60. Just make the 60th a Miltank.
And not.
It's kind of funny.
It would be good in some metas, but I don't think it really matters in this one. I've been working on Miltank a lot actually, and it's not. I don't think I'm gonna play it because we were getting it like close to we were getting it real close to like where we want it into being very good, and then the Turbo Palkia deck stomps it. So
oh yeah,
so that screwed it all up. So yeah, it's not super consistent against Palkia.
It might not be the most consistent. I feel like if you throw it in, they just don't have an answer for it. I mean, they'll eventually boss around it, but it makes them have to burn some resources, search for something, they have to look for something.
The decks in this format can just Gust so many times so easily. Like Turbo Palkia plays 4 boss, Mew plays ropes, bosses, and sometimes catchers, and then Inteleon decks have boss. Palpad is just like it's just too easy. And then the Miltank does no damage. Maybe if you like
it doesn't.
Maybe if you like Crobat VMAX into it or something. I don't know. It's just kind of like there's like no good attackers that like bounce themselves back to the bench. So I don't know.
Can I interest you in more Pico V?
I've heard about more Pico V actually.
Oh yeah, that was on Mello's stream the other night. In their like one of their last rounds. Miltank Morpeko.
That sounds so broken.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just gets bossed, right? I mean, what if you put like a memory capsule on like the VMAX? Maybe.
What about Morpeko Diancie?
Yeah, and then, the Diancie, I've heard about that too. I don't think Morpeko is good enough. Like, it doesn't do that much damage.
And
I guess
frail.
It does kill Palkia.
It's frail. Like what? It's got 170 or 180 HP.
170, right?
And then
like
the VMAX
energy.
Yeah, the VMAX is 300. It only does 180. Like, so many things do more for that or less for more. Like,
yeah, I haven't played the Morpeko deck. It's just like off the top of my head, it would be like my guess would be it's like okay, you need 3 energy to use this attack, right? And then Or do you want to go into Diancie? Okay, Diancie just gets knocked out and you're doing almost no damage. And then or Miltank and you just get bossed. I can see it conceivably beating Turbo Palk, I guess, because Turbo Palk is pretty bad into Diancie. Actually, it doesn't play cross switchers or ropes or anything. It's only the 4 boss. So yeah, it's really not that great into Diancie, but I can see it maybe beating that. But then you're not beating anything else. So I don't know. But again, my opinion on Morpeko is not super informed.
You're not a Morpeko expert?
No.
Oh, well, I'm starting to consider myself a Reggie expert myself, just so you guys know. I've played
I've played a little bit of Reggie's, yeah.
Yeah, it's solid.
Times IRL. If you have any questions, ask me. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about Reggie or any matchups, ask me. I can tell you everything you need to know.
All right, I got a question.
I'm a bit of an expert myself.
Do you play ropes or boss?
I had to add in boss. The first build I played had no boss, and it didn't cost me any games early at first, but then it eventually did start costing me games. I was trading prizes with a Darkrai deck, and then the Darkrai just went with the Baby Moltres on the last 2 prizes, and there's nothing I can do. I didn't have the boss. So I added boss as opposed to rope. But rope would have worked in that matchup as well. But I feel like boss is just more... rope is more situational. I feel like boss is more slightly consistent. So
I agree. Yeah, rope is a little more situational, but it comes with the added bonus of countering. Well, I guess it only counters the Ice Cube and the Flying Pikachu if you also have the boss. So I guess that doesn't. That's what Pram played, which Pram's list was. You mentioned that it was pretty strange for.
It's different. Deck. It was so different. Can I interest you in boss and rope?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Because then look, you get the Ice Cube out the way, you get the Flying Pikachu out the way, then Polion, whatever's in your way, you rope, and then you boss it right back up.
You could conceivably swap the nets out for ropes because you need a switch card anyway. Net is a little more versatile, and
that's true. I
feel like net gives you a lot of like agency in your games because you don't have to use it just as a switch card on the turns that you need to switch, but you can also you can use Gigas multiple times in a turn to prep your next turn, or you can prep your bench with like another copy of the attacker you want. So you can, and then you also have the synergy with Reggie Drago's ability. So you can kind of like, you can pretty much, what is the word I'm looking for? Like proof yourself against like Marnie and Roxanne pretty well with that deck, I think.
That's exactly why I run 4 nets. It's everything you just said is true. There's been times where I power up something with a second Gigas ability. Times where I had to put down a second attacker because I knew it was going to get knocked out, or if I couldn't get going for that turn, I put down the second one because I knew the first one's going to get knocked out. And just times where I put forward Reggie Drago, draw 3 cards, or draw 3 cards, perfect. What I needed, scoop it back up. So net is so important. I could see escape rope fitting in there though. I don't know if I'll take out a net because net is so clutch.
Yeah, and another thing is that like with 0 Reggies, I guess it did well in a Japan tournament, but the Japan, I think it won a Japan tournament, but the Japan meta is so different. The format is different. So
yeah, they have the Zoroark and all that kind of stuff, or the Goodra or whatever, right?
Yeah, they've got a lot of different stuff, but with none of them making top 8 in Australia, it is possible that people won't prioritize the text for Reggie, because Reggie's like a tier 2 deck. Probably, I think most people would agree. And that compared to like Mew and Palk, and so I think most people will probably not worry about teching for it and instead worry about Palk. But I could be wrong, of course. But I don't know. I think Reggie is good. I think I'm considering playing it actually, just because I really don't know what to play.
If you need me to, I can coach you up in Reggie. I can help you with that.
At worst, it's pretty good into Mew and Palk, so that makes it automatically a consideration. Just if only that, it's good. Reggie is good into Mew and Palkia. So
the Mew matchup is so free.
Yeah,
the Mew matchup is so free. Palkia matchup is decent too. It's decent. People be like, "Oh, you just lose." Like, no, you don't. It's a pretty decent matchup too. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's got a good shot.
Palkia just applies a lot of pressure, but if the deck functions, I mean, Aleki just trades favorably into it every single time. So. Yeah, I also play a three choice belt in my list, partially for that, or mostly for that.
I run 2. A third one could be a usable if there's a lot more Palkia running around. I was talking to someone last week, and they were telling me that they think 3 Regieleki might be the play.
Yeah, the original list from Full Grip had 3 Alecki. I think 4th Rod is a little bit more valuable, but you could do both, I guess. I would never cut the 4th Rod. I added a 4th Rod.
I go 4 rods, 4 nets. I run 4 shoes, by the way, 4 trekking shoes.
Yeah, if you don't play
shoes.
the extra rod, the second they play Avery or something, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Now I have to worry about a knockout this turn and losing 2 this way.
And you have to keep all of your Reggies like alive, because as soon as one is in the discard, they will just target down your second copy of that one. And it's just kind of a pain. It's a little. I think the 4 rod is
I've experienced
little
that.
more consistent.
You're exactly right.
So
like you said, you're not sure what you're playing yet, and you don't have to like give any sauce or secrets away, but to help newer players, what kind of advice could you give them to help them make a decision for what they should play for a large event?
I have my notepad out. I want advice on this.
I mean, it's really just a lot of how much time do you have to commit to testing and just grind games against. Just look at, the list I won Australia, build that deck and play against it, and then build Mew and play against it. And I honestly, that's it. If you can beat those 2 decks, that's pretty good. I mean, you just gotta test against the decks, and also you probably want to be very comfortable with the deck that you're playing, because the more games you have with it, and the better you'll play it. So most decks require a little bit of practice in this format. I know the Reggie deck, for example, I picked that deck up and I was literally so bad at playing it. I'm like, wow, this deck's a little. It's just like different than a lot of the other decks. It works a lot differently. It's kind of weird. So a lot of the decks do require a little bit of practice. Now the meta's not entirely set in stone at this point, so I'm a little hesitant to play like an anti-meta deck. But yeah, I mean, you just have to test a lot and be able to make correct decisions with your deck most of the time, and you'll probably do okay.
So we won't be seeing a counterbox from you then.
I've been working on counterbox.
Oh.
It's just like not good enough. I don't think it's like good enough yet, and I don't want to lose to like a bunch of random stuff too. So
can I interest you in a Zoroark counterbox?
I've been testing Zoroark counterbox a little bit. It's like fine. It's fine. It's okay, I guess.
It's okay. I've tried it too. I've tried so many different things with Zoroark. I want it to be so good, but it can be so inconsistent at times, man.
I think Miltank and Jolteon Capsule are like very helpful for it, because it increases the win rate against a lot of decks that you would not normally beat, and it's pretty good into Mew. So with Mightyena.
Yeah, Mightyena is awesome. No energy, just slap it all out of the Zoroark basically, and just go in and take your 3 prizes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Buy Movie Max.
Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot. I think it's a solid card.
A lot of the decks that I'm trying out are actually pretty bad into Arceus, but Arceus doesn't seem to be very popular right now, which is pretty funny. But I think Arceus itself is not great into Mew or Palk. It's kind of like so-so, maybe like slightly unfavored into both of them, to be honest. So it's possible we will just see Arceus like drop off the face of the earth, but I don't know. That seems like a little bit of a bold call. So I don't know. It's just kind of in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad by any means. Just not the best matchups. So do you have any other?
I don't think it's going to fall off the face of the earth. I was just going to say, I have seen a decrease in Arceus, and that's after I called it too soon. I called it like a month and a half too soon. So I've seen a decrease, but I don't think it's going to just completely fall off. It's still the top 2 decks, and Grant, I'm sure you agree, Mew, Palkia, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That next year, I believe, is something like Arceus, maybe Reggie. Where does Darkrai fit in all this? What do you guys think?
Darkrai, I think there's like very few things you can do with it. It's very linear, and I think, to be honest, it's just a worse Palkia, but that's not really much of a slight, because Palkia is good, so being like a slightly worse version of that is still not bad, but you're not weak to lightning, so you won't get countered by the things that Palkia will get countered by. So I think Darkrai is like, okay, I haven't played with it enough, to be honest. I kind of want to play it some more. It's like fine. It's like slightly worse Palkia, but doesn't get countered by the same things.
Because
Interestingly,
you say slightly worse Palkia.
Darkrai is not very good into Mew, actually, because you're basically forced to use 2 prize attackers for the beginning/middle of the game. And Mew can go like 1 prize attackers like once or twice, and that's just enough to make Mew win.
Yeah, Mew is pretty fast. Like, you have to get super lucky with Darkrai and like maybe turn to attack with Galarian Moltres V if you have the right cards and the right combo and the right sequencing to make it happen.
You honestly need if you're going second with Dark, you need a turn 1 knockout with Moltres V, or you're not going to win the game. The format's just so fast, which you can actually do a lot of the time. So that's like one of the strong points about it is you can get a turn 1 knockout with Moltres V against like almost any deck, because of choice spell it hits 220, which is really good. Like, that's one of the best points of the deck. And then Darkrai can one-shot anything in like the middle of the game as well. So
yeah,
it's not bad.
The first weekend when everything was going on, I won a box with Darkrai because it was all I pulled. I just kept pulling them. It's like, well, I might as well just play it and have fun. And I've had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, it does fall flat in some matchups, like especially like just if Mew just has that gas start, which they almost always do, you're just punished so easily. Especially you're 210 HP. They don't need any modifiers to get a turn 1 mail at a like KO on your Darkrai, or the Moltres is only 220. So like it just sits there. And if you start with a Crobat or the baby Moltres, you're just kind of like, oh cool, there's some of my gas out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you made an interesting point, Grant. But I was going to say, you made an interesting point about how a Mew deck can trade, with single prizes for a little bit, early in that game. Meanwhile, Darkrai might have Moltres, Galarian Moltres, the baby one. They might have that up its sleeve, but I mean, Mew can trade with a couple Meloettas. Have you guys seen this deck yet? Because I run into it IRL the last 2 weeks. A Selgor, the Fusion Strike of Selgor.
Like on its own, or as a tech in Mew?
As a tech in Mew.
Okay. I mean, if Palkia was weak to grass, I think that would make a lot of sense, but
I've been seeing it in a few decks. They play because it's a quick single prize attacker. It can hit 120, and if you're playing against like a Darkrai, for instance, or Samurott or anything, Moltres, grass weakness, one shot something. And I guess it's just a quick 120 to take the deal with Reggies and to deal with stuff like that. And the first week I ran into it a lot. It didn't really do much, but by a week, I ran into it last week too, and I was like, I'm starting to see where it has a niche. I'm starting to see it. I still don't think it's a great tech, but I could see why some people are doing that now. You guys haven't seen it much yet?
No, I don't think I've seen anybody play it other than like at the beginning when the set came out, they played it just like as its own like kind of hit and run style.
I could see it being useful in some matchups where you want just like an extra single prize attacker, but its damage output is so much lower than Meloetta that it would only be good into like other single prize decks. But I think it would be good into other single prize decks. It's just like the majority of decks are not other single prize decks, if that makes sense. So like Reggies, it's probably good into Reggies. It's probably good into like any single prize deck, I guess.
Yeah, anywhere else though, it's just a stage 1 you have to evolve and
that's the part that sucks.
Yeah, move into it.
Yeah, I've seen it pop up in some of my locals. I've seen it outside of my locals too. Well, I guess it's still local, but it's not the main shop I go to. So I go to 2 different shops, and one of the other shops I go to, someone was playing it there too. I'm like, really? Is this a thing now? So I don't know. Maybe it's just a California thing.
I mean, it's crazy in California. All the smog and the. Never mind. I'm not going there.
I was gonna say it's green. Some other stuff is green. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. Let's move on.
The price of gas is too high in California.
I get it. I got it.
There you go, Gazer. Proud of you. So,
but no, I missed chunks of everything, man. What did I miss when I was disconnected?
We talked about Palkia and Australia and the how crazy the turbo Palkia really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so have we touched on how maybe what happens in Milwaukee is going to lead into what happens in NAIC?
No, not yet. No, go ahead.
Well, yeah, just Grant, Milwaukee. I'm not sure what to expect except for Palkia, Mew. I think there'll be some Reggies. You said Jolteon's not going to be there, but I don't know, man. With Palkia around, I feel like some type of electric something. It's not going to be Pikachu. None of those Pikachus. But maybe Jolteon, I have another card in mind too. I'll tell you guys about it later. But between all of that happens and everything that goes down in Milwaukee, what do you think's going to happen, the following week at NAIC?
So, the thing about decks like Palkia and Mew is that they're just like so good and they can kill stuff so easily that even if you have like a type advantage against them, they're still like trading evenly, and they're like faster and more consistent. So I think like a lot of people think that just because you have like a lightning type deck, you're going to beat Palkia, or just because you have a dark deck, you're going to beat Mew, and that's like not really the case. You also have to be fast and consistent. You also have to, well, that's pretty much it. You have to be fast and consistent, and you have to have a way to easily one-shot those guys. And it's just like so hard to do that while also, having a functional deck that works against other decks. So like, yeah, there are going to be a lot of Palkia, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of Mew, but probably at least half your rounds is going to be against miscellaneous other decks besides those. So if you're playing like a deck that only beats Palkia or only beats Mew or even beats both of them, you still have to have like a good deck that can handle like a variety of random things. And so the random thing is kind of what's been like traumatizing me this season. Like I played like an anti-meta deck at EUIC, and I got flattened by just a bunch of random stuff that I, just off the wall stuff like that I wasn't really expecting. And then I played a vanilla Arceus Intel at Indy, and it's good into random stuff. And it's just kind of a vanilla solid deck, and I got top 32, which is like fine. And then for New Jersey with that Malamar deck was just kind of wild, and it worked out. So, but yeah, with early in the meta, I think that, like, it's very early in this format, so I think it's you got to have a deck.
Stay the same almost, just to.
Yeah, I feel like there's, again, we're in this weird season of so many new people that have come into the game, and these are their first events ever. So, I mean, if they're if they're not, established or super meta players by any means, they're gonna play with whatever they have and whatever they like, and they're just there for a good time. So, like Grant said, you could literally hit anything out there. Like, this is my first event, and I'm gonna play with Cinderace VMAX, and you're like, oh crap, I played Leafeon today, I'm not gonna have a fun time. Like anything else, like, oh, it might be, it might work out for you, but it's hard to say. It really is hard to metagame, especially when it's so early into a format and there's no solid answer.
Think back to a couple of the last regionals, where people played Malamar VMAX, and then that became a thing. I'm trying to figure out if anything's going to come from Milwaukee that's going to affect NAIC in any type of way. But I understand what you're saying. I think Flex Daddy said it best. Subin, I think you've seen the tweet. He said that you play regional 9 rounds, you're going to run to at least, 8 or 9 different decks. So it's going to be something different almost.
Yeah,
I saw that tweet, actually. I kind of agree. Well, I would have agreed with that before Melbourne, but now Palkia is completely dominating Melbourne. I was thinking, so like maybe you play like 2 Palkia, 2 Mew, and like 5 other stuff. I think that's, but the spirit of like the thought behind the tweet, I think, is, you're going to play against a bunch of random stuff. So don't be like surprise Pikachu when you don't hit, 7 Palkia in a row. Right.
I brought electric deck and I only hit 2 Palkias?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then you hit Urshifu and you're like, I'm gonna have a bad day.
Urshifu? What's this doing here? I know. So so you don't think anything from Milwaukee's really gonna affect? You think it's just gonna just stay just Mew, Palkia, a couple other decks right here, and everything else?
I think the meta for Milwaukee will affect NAIC for sure. Like if, for example, if Rapid Strike Urshifu wins Milwaukee, then more people will play it at NAIC, and more people will like counter it for NAIC, right? But it does. Yeah, I think the meta for Milwaukee will affect NAIC. Yeah, but as far as Milwaukee first, it's like kind of hard to say, I guess.
Yeah,
I think
Australia always just seems so wild when it comes to like importing their results to the rest of the world immediately after.
Yeah, it's funny because they always have like the first event in like a format, which is, so it's like we have like no information besides that.
Yeah,
which is funny. Another thing that I'll say is like I've actually been spending like a lot of time like in the tank for this format, and also for the past, like for the last format as well. And I've honestly found it very hard to innovate things, just because kind of what I said, the Palkia deck and the Mew deck. and previously the Arceus deck were so good and so difficult to counter, and it's even more difficult to counter like both of them, like previously Arceus and Mew, now Palkia and Mew. It's just very difficult to counter both of them and still have a functional deck. So I've had a very hard time like innovating things, even despite like trying, right? So I don't know if that's like a failure on my part or if it's just like a hostile meta in general, maybe like a combination of the two. So on that note, I wouldn't expect many other people to have something super innovative, but if they do, like that's a win for them, and that's great, and that'll be a good surprise one shot for like a tournament.
Yeah, that always seems like it could just come out of nowhere, like somebody who's just super quiet about everything on social media and everywhere else, not playing any Limitless, not doing any like public play testing, and then just all of a sudden like just come in.
Boom.
I feel like we saw like a decent amount of variety / innovation with like the Brilliant Stars format. It's like everyone's like, all right, cool. This week let's try the flavor of Arceus. This week we've got
right,
like all these different versions and variants, and like now that we have another top level contender in the form of Palkia, it's like it's a little bit harder to play all these like random Arceus Lycanroc or Arceus Flygon or Arceus Heatran VMAX. Like I don't know.
So
well,
actually,
I said Arceus is like barbecue sauce, man. It goes with everything. And like you said, that when it first came out, everyone wanted to try. Okay, I can finally use my Delmise, and I can finally use Lycanroc, and everyone just try something different. But now with these two oppressive decks, when we had one oppressive deck, it was fine to be innovative and try different things. Now we have two oppressive decks. That's like, well, now what? I have to make sure I can beat these two decks. I can't do it consistently with my Arceus Morpeko VMAX deck, so I better just play the Palkia or Mew and just join everyone else, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Another thing I kind of want to mention though is like kind of how Arceus was the play Arceus with anything and anything with Arceus. I think we might potentially head that direction with the Mew Celebrations Mew Greninja Crobat engine. So like you can see so many cards and you can turn your Scoop Up Net into a draw 2 with the Greninja. Yeah. So we saw that with Turbo Dialga, which was a deck that popped up, won a pretty large online event. It doesn't seem like people are really respecting it past that, which is interesting. That's like neither here nor there. But then the Palkia deck also uses that same engine, and now it's like kind of open Pandora's box of like, okay, now what other decks can we play with this? Can we play it with Gengar? Can we even play Mew VMAX with this engine and not even use Genesect? Can we, I don't know what else. But you can play like anything with that engine and have like a turn 2, kind of like with Arceus, where you would have turn 2 Trinity Nova into literally any Pokemon V in the entire format. Now you could have like a turn 2. I guess it's better with decks that have energy acceleration, so Metal Saucer for Dialga, Dark Patch for Gengar, Dark Patch for Darkrai, or Melanie for Palkia, or of course Star Portal for Palkia. So I guess it's pretty much, I guess it might be more limited to decks that can accelerate energy in that way. But yeah, so like any deck like that can have a turn 2 attacker plus boss, sort of kind of like how Arceus could do that. Arceus could do it with literally anything though, and this is kind of limited to decks that can energy accelerate. But I think the engine, the point is the engine is very good, and you can kind of mix and match it with a lot of different Pokemon. So as we've already seen with Dialga and Palkia.
Don't laugh at me. I've been playing a lot of Lilligant V-Star as well, and I might have broken the deck open by adding in the Radiant Greninja. Just that discard, draw, and I play one of Energy Retrieve when I play one Training Court. So just discard, draw, get those extra 2 cards, and I can go ahead and Guardian or whatever I need, and it's really opened up the deck for me. So you're exactly right. I can only imagine if you could scoop it up, put it back down, draw another 2. It's pretty nice. So you're right.
Yeah, the Lilligant deck
could be a new. It could be our answer for a. We'll lose Scoop Up Net in rotation, huh? I said that could be the replacement for Inteleon, but we're losing Scoop Up Net too.
Lilligant's kind of been in the back of my mind. I haven't tried it out yet, but it's pretty interesting. Like there are a couple things, like you can grab the Flapple for damage modifier. You can grab Kricketune so you can survive a hit against Palkia. You can grab Eldegoss so you can charge the Gardenia every turn. Like it's very easy to play like 1/1.
But you're right.
You can run like 1/1 lines of each of these like grass types. I don't know how you would play the deck, if you would play Inteleon engine or if you play Mew Greninja engine. And it seems like the power level is like a little bit low for Lilligant, but yeah, it's like kind of an interesting deck.
A bit of a Lilligant expert myself as well. So if you have any questions, just let me know. I've been playing Lilligant and Regirock for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So
yeah, the damage output feels like it's its biggest problem. You need 3 energy and
it's a mid deck.
You're hitting 230.
It's a mid deck.
You put it back in your hand.
230, 260 if you're lucky. You can't top out at big numbers. I think with that, I run Flapples. So with the 2 Flapples, and I can get to 280 if I need to. But let's say it's a VMAX, I'm struggling a little bit. It's a mid deck, but the Cricketune comes in clutch because it boosts my HP to 300 from the Lilligant. I can sit back, take 2 shots and 2 shots something else. So it's really just a mid range, just boom, boom. No turbo, no super duper speed. I can have a good turn too if I pop off. If I get the Gardenia, if I use the Star Perfume and I get going. But it's not like I'm gonna do major numbers like a Mew deck or like a Palkia swinging for freaking 280, 290. I can get to 280 if I'm lucky. That's all it is. The clutch closer though is believe it or not, Shaman V-Star. He's come in handy a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Shaman V-Star is pretty slept down actually.
Yeah, I like it.
It's getting there now. At first I didn't like it, but now I think it is. I think it's kind of slept on.
Yeah, it seems like Lilligant and a lot of other V-Stars, like I said this about Darkrai too, and Samurott, they're just like worse Palkia. Because like what can you do that Palkia can't? Like nothing. Palkia can do everything. So it's feels kind of bad when you're like testing these decks and it's like, okay, well this is kind of works. It like works, it's fine, but it's not as good as Palkia. It's just the worst Palkia, but it's still good. Like it's still fine. It's just,
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, people were saying that Palkia was a worse Arceus. I'm like, whoa, I think they're on level. I think they're on par. And now
actually, that didn't age well. But
did you say that too?
I thought it. My initial thought was that Palkia was not going to be as good as Arceus. All right.
So listeners out there, I know I said support Grant. Hit him up for coaching and listen to everything he has to say. I actually want to retract my previous statement.
No, I've seen the light. Palkia does more damage than Arceus. Okay, so here's the thing: like Palkia like skips the middleman. So like Arceus is the vehicle for powering up something else, whereas Palkia just powers up itself immediately, turn 2, and then does more damage. So yeah, it seems like Arceus is a little bit outclassed. In theory, what you could do is you could go like Arceus, and then loop Charon, or even Charon just like once or twice against Palkia. But that's just like easier said than done. It's just... and then you also need double turbo, whereas Palkia just needs 2 water, so...
That's true. And that's so easy to get out. And then you have Melanie on your side.
It just feels like it's being outclassed.
Yeah, I think Palkia just has so many more tools and everything that it needs right now. It's such a good deck.
And then like in that match specifically too, you're like playing into their damage output too. Like, because you're if you want to Sharon, you're gonna have another Arceus ready to go. So there's a bench space, and you're gonna have either your Inteleon package or your Bibarels, and did you bench a Manaphy to protect yourself from the Greninja?
Yeah, exactly.
You're really playing into their damage output too.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't feel very good.
That is completely accurate. And it's like even if they can't kill your Arceus in one shot, it's like okay, sometimes they can just go Choice Belt, Zigzagoon, whatever. Knockout, and if they can go like sit behind a Diancie, spike draw 20, and now they can one shot you. It's just and then they can't get bossed. It's kind of like a disaster. Oh. Yeah, I think honestly Palkia and Mew are a little bit oppressive. I think the good decks right now are just too good.
I was just gonna say that. It's sad we're in an impressive time right now. I was gonna say that. See now I'm depressed. Now I'm sad and talk. See,
it's
Palkia. It's Palkia and Mew, isn't it?
It's a 2-prize Pokemon with 280 HP that kills anything on turn 2. Like, okay, what do you want me to do?
Steuben, take the next segment. I'm depressed now.
Yeah. All right. So let's move into Stonks. This is the segment of the pod where we talk about the ups and downs of the value of cards, whether it's financial or in terms of playability. We've already kind of hinted that like Arceus might be down a little bit right now. But in terms of value, in the past couple of days, the Dialga V-Star has doubled in price on TCGplayer on average. Last week, average listings were about $11. Cheapest one right now is $22.50 at the time of recording Sunday evening. Kind of shocked by this one because all it was is just like one placement in late night.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like everyone's buying them.
And like
Well,
0 at Melbourne, right? Or maybe
Yeah,
there was one
I
in
think
16.
one in top 16. But that
Okay.
was it.
now is this like the alt art?
The regular Dialga V-Star cheapest listing is $22.50. The Rainbow Rare is about $1 cheaper, and then the gold one is only $28. And this is like at this exact moment in time.
that
So
one is nutty.
I also heard there was this is kind of unrelated. I heard there was a buyout of Malamar VMAX. I don't know if that is still the case though.
I will happily look into that. Give me a second.
Tell us the prices on that too. Yeah, that's nutty about the Alga though. It had the one tournament. The one was at late night, right?
Wow, dude, good call. Rainbow Rare has 18 listings, cheap as $9, but the regular art version of Malamar VMAX, 8 listings remaining. Cheapest one is $22.
Okay, it did not. Okay, a couple days ago it was 3 listings on TCGplayer for $100 each, but I guess it's kind of starting to like correct.
Yeah, there's 2 in that range.
That still seems really high though, Malamar.
There's 2 for 22. One seller has one at 25, and then the next price after that is 40. The next price after that is $90, and there's 4 sellers between $90 and $99. One of which has 0 sales and 0 feedback.
I'm sure there's no completed for 100 or 90, right? Like,
no. Let me dig into it a little bit more. The last purchased one was $4.90.
Okay, I
but
guess it's kind of correct.
The one that went crazy, one person bought 3 for $25 on the 10th. And then there's been a handful for a little bit of value. So no one's, other than that one person, is pulled the trigger and bought them.
Is that
at the crazy
you think
price?
That's manipulation.
So this could be some manipulation. It seems to be single quantities though that were purchased, low stock, or sellers have decided to pull them off the market. So it's always hard to tell 100% if it's a buyout or it's like targeted by the sellers themselves.
That's crazy.
Okay, I do want to say like one thing about Malamar VMAX is it's like, okay, so Malamar VMAX is good into Arc-Intel, and it's good assuming you have Jolteon Capsule, and it's good into Mew. So like I was thinking it would be really good for Milwaukee, but then the Turbo, we were testing it against the Turbo Pack deck, and it doesn't beat that consistently. If you go first, you have like a chance, but even then you have a pretty good chance of losing, and if you go second, you automatically lose. So Malamar is not good into Turbo Falcon. It's also bad into Reggie. Again, I don't know if Reggie will be like that popular, but Reggie completely stomps Malamar.
Drago could just fill their hand back up, and
the hand proof with Drago, and then Reggie Gigas just one shots you like for free. It's
you're right. I have to think about the Gigas. It doesn't one shot. Right?
Well, you need a powerful or a choice belt. Yeah, but
you need a belt. Yeah, you're right.
Not much of an ask.
Yeah, you only need one modifier for that.
Yeah, and then if you're playing Arceus, I mean, I guess you have the Dunsparce, the Reggie Rock is not going to one-shot you, but most of the Malamar decks don't play Dunsparce for Arceus. But yeah, it like was almost good, and then it just loses to. Also, if your opponent, I don't think Miltank's going to be played like at all, but if your opponent has a Miltank, you're just going to fold to that as well. So I don't think Malamar's actually in a good position right now.
I mean, like, it feels like it gained a little bit too with like Roxanne and like Dark Patch to make it a little bit easier, but at the same time it really didn't.
Yeah, it definitely got better. Like it got better like in a vacuum, I guess. I don't know. You can't really say in a vacuum for like Pokemon like meta decks, but as far as the meta around it is a lot more hostile. And like the Dark Patch is really strong. It's actually very helpful, but the Roxanne is like kind of bait because it's very hard to, like, you're trying to attack with Malamar VMAX before they get to the point where you can Roxanne them as well. So, like, we found the Roxanne to be a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, they have to take a 3-prize knockout or just 3 prizes in general before Roxanne matters. And then if you have it before then, it's a dead card.
Right.
Like, where you could just play Marnie during any of your turns. So
yeah, the Dark Patch is very good, though.
I was going to say, so the only game is the Dark Patch then, right? That's the main game.
It is, and to be fair, Dark Patch is really good. It's very nice to have that card in the deck, but yeah, the meta is just very hostile for Malamar right now. I
was attempting to find my stonks, but
I got another filler one, Gazer. It's fine. In terms of value, Darkrai has finally come down from its $30 average to about 17 to 18.
I've seen that.
So it's taken a hot minute for it to come down. But it sat there for 3 weeks, almost $30.
That's crazy. I have to imagine that's partly because of Darkrai being like a fan favorite Pokemon.
I think so. People
But
have the nostalgia for Turbo Dark and just want to play it.
I'm not honestly super well versed in like Poke economics. The playability aspect is what I understand. So
I mean, I work at a card shop, so I'm always like looking up prices and changing out display cases and everything. So it's just something that really fascinates me, also as a player too, to like keep an eye out for it. Not a lot of other people talk about the value of cards, often outside of collectors.
Yeah, it's funny, like, from my perspective, when I see, like, I automatically just assume that every playable card is going to be expensive and every non-playable card is going to be cheap. So it's, like, very shocking when the opposite is true in, like, either
Machamp V is, like, $100. You're like, what?
Yeah, okay.
But why?
There's no way. Is it actually?
The alternate art Machamp V, pre-release time was $40. And then it had a crazy buy spike, and it pushed it up to 180. A couple episodes ago, we talked about it. And then it came back down, and it's been sitting about $120 for the alternate Machamp V.
That's insane.
Like $60 or $70? No, 60.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden 180, 190, and then one sold, and then people started listing them over 120, and it's sat there ever since. The alt art Beedrill is over $40 now. The alt art Hisuian Sneasler had a spike almost up to $80 for a couple of days.
I see. Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah, these alt arts, and like I don't know if it's like the scalpers or the people who like want to sell product or like pushing these weird values of cards just to like, oh hey, we said this set sucked, but you should look at Machamp. It's $120. Go out there and buy all the boxes. And I feel like that's just like their last ditch effort to kind of remain relevant since like the crazy scalping has kind of died off recently. You're able to like walk into a big box store and see a whole section full of trading cards again. And
that's the beauty of it. Like you can go to a Target or a Walmart now, like you said, and it's there. And even some of the more local stuff has stuff, and it's not crazy overpriced. I found a store around the corner from my grandmother's house, and they have ETBs for like $30. I'm like, oh wow,
30. Wow, that's under MSRP. That's awesome.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, stuff is here. The world is healing.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you didn't decide to scam and buy all of them and go take them to Walmart and return them for MSRP.
I've been thinking about that.
Typical Gazer scam.
I have such bad luck with ETBs that I just feel like I would just be cursing someone. That wouldn't be fair, man. My ETBs are so bad. Now, when it comes to building battles, I have really good luck pulling with those. I just hit some pretty good stuff recently. Speaking of building battles too, but before I talk about my stonks, I have a building battle pack here. Is there any way I can send this to you? You pay shipping and handling.
What is this? 4 weeks of you trying to sell me your bulk, bro? 4 weeks. 4 weeks of you trying to sell me your bulk.
No, look. This one has the wrapping.
I'll be right back. Hang on.
I had a few building battles. Steuben wouldn't buy them, so I opened them myself. Had some good hits. It's. I don't know what he's thinking. He should buy them. I have really good luck with this stuff.
Do you think I want your bulk, Gazer?
Okay, so it seems you have some extra cards. You have a few extra cards. If you guys don't know what's going on, Steuben, I just pulled out how many boxes was that, Grant? About 3 boxes?
I can't see his camera.
Oh, Steuben just pulled out about 3 boxes, I believe, of I'm assuming that's bulk?
Yeah, one of them's a 5-row full, and then a 3-row, and yeah, that's fine. I don't want your bulk, Gazer.
If you ever need that building battle, I got you. Just let me know. It's got the promos and everything.
Yeah, I'm good.
I have a lot of bulk sitting next to me in the box as well.
You're blurred, though, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, to touch on my stonk real quick. I couldn't find my card. I only have 1 copy. I need to go get more. I think this card is going to see some play as a sneaky little, just like an add-in to maybe even Palkia itself. Raikou? Goku? You know what I'm talking
about. That card's
the legendary electric dog. It's Palkia feeds into what it wants to do, and it one-shots, and you say, oh well, it gets 1 shot back. That's fine. I just took out your big daddy Palkia with a basic little Raikou. It didn't cost me much anything, and I can do it again if I need to because it's so easy to charge up. You already play into it because you want to overbench yourself. You want to have your Radiant Greninja on the bench or your Inteleons. That's fine. Or your Barrels, whatever you have, your Mews, whatever you have. Raikou just one shot you. Boom, easy. Yeah, I feel like Raikou could see some play now. Even if like maybe some type of maybe in Palkia where you run like a couple Aurora or maybe a random couple Lightning Energies randomly. I feel like it could see some play.
Yeah, I can see it maybe being in the Palkia Turbo deck. You can't Star Portal, but you can Melanie to it and like attach a Lightning,
Exactly.
I guess.
Exactly.
So that would be a good way to delete an opposing Palkia V-Star. Yeah, that's actually a pretty interesting idea. I don't know where else it would really fit.
Yeah, I've seen people try and shove it in Arceus and like other other Inteleon decks, and then like in that problem though, you have to Melanie or Raihan onto it and still have the turn attachment. And like, you don't want to play pure Lightning because then the Flaffies are just Greninja targets, and then you bench Manaphy, and then you're playing into the Palkia
you don't go pure Lightning
more. Like
it's just attack. Yeah, those Flaffies those Flaffies are gone if you do that. So it's just attack. But I feel like it could see some play as opposed to your flying Pikachu, surfing Pikachu take. That can't be a thing. It never will be. It can't be. But
yeah,
Raikou though, I think that could come
does. Like you said, it is just a 2-for-2, pretty much an even trade into Palk V-Star. So you would have to be able to get like a lot of value out of it. Like it would have to be like a game swinger. So it really kind of depends on the deck that you have around it, I guess. But I can see that, for example, like a Turbo Palk mirror match, for example, you're not one-shotting their V-Stars for free, so Raikou would be able to do that. But I guess you could just like boss a couple times. I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Subin, you hear that?
The abilities
are interesting. You hear that? Sub, I'm smart now.
Yeah,
a smart guy said I was smart.
Nothing wrong with Raikou.
But I guess it's time to move on to our last segment, the Q&A. So we'll hop into the Q&A section for that. So you want to start with the first question?
Yeah, as always, we are live on Twitch on either my channel or Gazer's channel with the live chat. So we have a handful of questions, some of which are trolls. You kids and your trolling, I swear. Like Bags asking when we're going to do the podcast in a hot tub. No, never Bags. But
I mean, think about it though.
Nope, stop. Just nope.
Well, no, okay, look. So have you ever checked out the hot tub section of Twitch?
No.
There's thousands of viewers over there. So look, if you, me, and another guest, let's say we bring Grant back one time, a couple months from now. You, me, and Grant, we get into a hot tub, or maybe even just our own bathtubs, right? We record from there. I think that would increase some viewership. I think Bags is onto something. I don't know.
Gazer, I swear, sometimes you just.
I'm trying to be innovative with this podcast. I don't want to be your grandfather's old podcast. Back in my day, we had Blastoise. I want to do something different. Let's think, Sue, outside the box, man.
I'm telling Jazzy you look at that section of Twitch. What's she gonna say?
So I guess I got this question from X10 Grim, our homie X10 Grim. Grant, this is for you. When did you feel good to start sharing your deck builds?
All right, can you repeat that?
I guess when did you feel good enough to start sharing your own deck builds? Like when you feel like, hey, this is something I need to share and send to Twitter, and this is a pretty busted deck.
I mean, I stream on Twitch, so a lot of the times I'm just trying out various decks on my stream, and then like the good ones I'll write an article about because I write articles at PokeBeach. So I'm not sure exactly what the question. I'm not sure I fully understand, but like just if a deck's like not complete garbage, then I'll like play it on my stream for a good amount of time, and then if it's like the best ones from there get filtered like to the articles that I'll write. And sometimes I'll post stuff on Twitter. I haven't been posting as many decks on Twitter just because I'm like been kind of lazy about it. Also, a lot of the decks have been kind of failing in this format. Like most of the stuff most of the decks I've been trying out. I've been trying out a lot of decks. Have some sort of like fatal flaw, unfortunately. So.
Do you remember, just a side question to go with that, do you remember any time where you were like on the ladder or playing IRL and you see like a version of your deck and you're like, whoa, that's mine. I've made it. I did it. Someone finally copied my deck. Anything like that?
Oh yeah, that happens a lot. Like if I'll like do well in an online tournament, a lot of the times the deck that I do that, like I'll sometimes do well with a deck that I like also copied from somebody else, which is pretty funny. Just kind of like how it goes. Like it's like kind of like a shared, like the whole space is like everyone's ideas are like instantly public, and then they get built upon by other people, and it kind of snowballs. So yeah, that does happen a lot. It happens a lot. Also, a lot of times I'll get good ideas from the ladder. So like I'll see someone playing something interesting on ladder, and then I'll like take that idea and like improve upon it. That also happens a lot. A lot of people just you find like good ideas in like all sorts of places. So yeah, it's just kind of like a cycle like that. So
True.
All right. So next question, we have one from Drago the Forkhead. As someone who's wanting to get into IRL play as a PTCGO player only for a long time, what sort of decks would you recommend that won't break the bank?
it's got to be the Reggie deck, right? That
Yeah.
deck's very expensive, and it's pretty good. So I mean, that's like probably the best one.
Reggie or like Miltank Blissey, something along
I
those
think the
lines.
answer is Reggie.
Yeah,
the answer's always
Milton
going to be
Blissey's
Reggie.
also pretty good.
No. The answer's Reggie. Got to be
I
Reggie.
mean, yeah,
Has to be.
Reggie, but you know, if you want more
No,
than
there's no but. You know, the
if you
answer
want
is
more
got to be
than
Reggie.
if you want more than
No,
one deck,
it's. I'm pretty sure it's Reggie. That's like the only answer for that.
okay,
It's Reggie.
All right, guys. Why don't you go get in your hot tub and take your cards with you?
It
Play
is
my Reggie
definitely
deck in the
cool
hot
when like
tub.
it is definitely cool when like a good deck costs like $20. Like
Yeah.
the Reggie deck is so inexpensive.
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
maybe some of the trainer cards will be a little bit more, but like the Pokemon are really inexpensive.
Yeah, you're not buying an
Exactly.
Inteleon line like Malamar that needed it,
Ooh.
and that was the biggest. Like a lot of people hopped on Rapid Strike Malamar just because of how budget it was, but at the same time, like
Mhm.
Drizziles at that point, what, $4 or $5 a piece? So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. And I mean, there's still 3 something and change, and like allegedly, whenever rotation happens, like for anybody on a budget, I mean that could be a slap in the face.
Yeah, I don't think that was like too surprising just because of like for a while, and even still to some extent, like every deck plays Inteleon. So like maybe 50%, not every that's a little bit of exaggeration. Maybe like 50% of the meta decks play Inteleon, and you need 3 to 4 Drizzile. And also the fact that Sword and Shield came out like 2 and change years ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of the uncommons kind of like got bulked out or like lost in the wind or whatever. And,
Yeah.
it's always kind of a pain when like an old like common or uncommon becomes relevant, and it's not that old. It's Sword and Shield, but yeah, that's probably
It's just
part of
like I said, it's an uncommon card, and you're like, whoa, how much? So yeah, when I heard these Drizzile prices, when I started, trying to get an IRL, I was like, what? How much for that? Luckily, there's that V Battle deck on the way out though.
Yeah, those come out this
Yeah.
week. I want to say that's the release date for this week.
Mm-hmm.
The Shadow Rider and Ice Rider. So that's
right,
a
I'll
really
be-
good buy-in point for your Inteleon line if you don't have it yet.
I will be heading to Target this week then.
There you go.
Another question. Let's see. We have one from MWDC. Shout out to MWDC. He does the thumbnails for Subin's YouTube videos. Now, shout out to Subin's YouTube as well. Do you think a lightning build of Arceus could be the way to go, seeing how long Peak Rum lasted on the top?
I think it's gonna I think maybe not right now. I think Mew kind of has a lot of hype despite not being in top 8 of Melbourne. I honestly think there's gonna be a lot of Mew. So either A, if you could get it to beat Mew, or B, Mew flops.
Some dark.
If Mew flops for Milwaukee, then it will kind of open up the door for decks that have a sketchy Mew matchup to sneak in there. But yeah, I think the Arceus decks in general, Arceus plus, whatever, is not great into Mew, so I would be hesitant to play that. And even, again, even just having a Lightning deck doesn't necessarily mean you even beat Palkia, so you'd have to test it against, Turbo Palk. And Turbo Palk can maybe just steamroll you, or 50-50 if, depending on who goes first. I could see that also being the case.
That's true. It doesn't mean necessarily beat Palkia. You're right. So you think there's a chance that Mew could flop? I was thinking, you sprinkle in some dark, maybe throwing a Moltres or something like that, but you think Mew could flop and that could open up some, for other decks? You think Mew could flop?
I don't think it will, but just in theory, if that did happen, that's the natural progression of the meta.
You're right. Okay, you're right. I was gonna run with that. I was gonna go to Twitter. Breaking news: Grant Manley says Mew will flop at Milwaukee.
No. I think there's a pretty good chance that there's 4 in top 8. So, well, yeah, I don't think it will, but just if it did, that's That's how it would work, I think.
Oh, I was gonna run to Twitter so hard. So, you want to take the next question?
Yeah, they're all kind of memes at this point.
Well,
So
just ask away. Let's see what he says.
Passman2 asks, do you like strawberry milk?
I don't really drink milk, so I don't know.
There we go.
What about you guys?
No. Kind of.
I'm not a strawberry milk kind of guy.
No.
I like my milk. I enjoy
like
some chocolate milk as well, but not strawberry.
Strawberry ice cream? Sure.
ice cream. Any ice cream is like pretty acceptable at the very least. I mean, I'll put milk in like my cereal, but I don't like to drink it like straight up. So I've never had strawberry milk.
I had cinnamon rolls last night, and I had a glass of milk to go with them. So there's that.
Oh, I haven't had cinnamon
Sat
rolls
down
in
and had
forever. I hope there's a Cinnabon.
Oh, that's the
at
same thing. I was
Milwaukee.
craving. I was like, I want cinnamon rolls. But okay, next question. This comes from Will Be Hidden. This is our resident on everything Stonejourner VMAX. What needs to happen for Stonejourner VMAX to win a regional?
Wait.
If there's 800 registered players, 799 of them are no shows.
Okay, so Reggie Gigas is a big problem for Stonejourner. Big problem. However, Palkia, like, I'm just thinking about it. What if you were good into Palkia in theory? I could see Stonejourner being good. I haven't played this in a couple of formats, but I could see Stonejourner being good into Palkia, right?
Oh.
So
Palkia, if you only have the one Stonejourner out, Palkia's gonna max out at what? How much damage?
It's gonna do 160, 190. Yeah,
around 190, right? Yeah, around 90. Okay, 190.
Yeah, but then they have like Zigzagoon. So if you were able to like use the Stone Energy, the full face guard to reduce the damage and Hyper Potion,
about 1.
I could see you beating Palkia. To be honest, I could see that.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, but you're not going to beat anything else. Like,
yeah, no, you're not going to.
You just fold to everything else.
You're not going to beat Mew. You're not going to beat Reggie Gigas. You could. I don't think you can even kill a Miltank. You could maybe play. You could maybe play Cologne or Phoebe to beat Miltank, I guess. And then you.
But then you're taking away spaces from healing, so that's not going to work. Yeah, no, sorry, Will. Not going to happen.
So what would be? You would need to face 17 Palkia in a row, and make sure you actually beat Palkia.
And make sure you actually win. Yes. So you hear that, Will? If there's the off chance, I think it's about a 0.16% chance you're running the 17 Palkia in a row. Your Stonejourner VMAX can go all the way. There you go.
See, is there anything else that beats? And maybe could beat Arceus. No, they have Dunsparce.
Dunsparce out there. You could beat Jolteon.
Yeah.
Beat Jolteon, no problem.
You could maybe beat like the Inteleon Toolbox decks. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right. And then you beat those Pikachu VMAXs in the surfing one, right? The flying and surfing. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Well, flying is weak to lightning, and surfing is weak to fighting.
Oh, flying is weak to lightning. Yeah. So Will, Will, you have no chance. Sorry, Will.
All right, no more questions from the chat. No more.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. No.
Shout out to Passman2 anyway. His questions keep me going every week.
I think they're more for us to try and not to laugh at when we're like looking at it versus like actually reading them out loud. But basically, at this point in time, the floor is yours, Grant. Any shout outs you want to give, any plugs you want to make, anything you want to say to anybody out there potentially listening in. Take it away.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Shout out to Gust of Wind podcast and Steuben and Gazer streams. Also, twitch.tv/TricRoar. I also stream Pokemon fairly frequently. It's been kind of crazy this week and this coming week. So I haven't been streaming as much, but yeah, once I get back from NAIC, I'll be streaming a lot. And so check me out on Twitch. Also, PokeBeach articles. So yeah, if you want to see the articles, they're on PokeBeach. And then I also do coaching on Metafy. And Twitter, twitter.com/TricRoar is probably what it is. So yeah, follow me on Twitter as well. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
We'll have all your links below.
Yep, they'll be in the Spotify description, the Anchor description, the YouTube video when it comes out a few days later than the audio version, also on Apple and Google. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, totally leave us a 5-star review, but I didn't tell you to do that.
No one said that. What?
No, never. No one ever told you to do that. But if you happen to do so, we would totally love you forever in more than one way.
Yeah, Grant, thank you so much for joining us, man. When I reached out to you, I was like, he's gonna say no. He doesn't know me like that. He barely knows who I am. But you were down. You said, not this week, but the following week. And I was like, cool, thanks, Grant. And just showing of your skill level and your expertise, man. So just a couple, questions I should ask from the very beginning. How long have you been playing this game, man?
I like the game. I've been playing it forever, so I've gotten pretty good at it. So it would be like a waste to not play it.
How many years?
I like competitively since like 2013, but I also played for a few years before that. I was like a scrubby junior, so I like 2010, 2009 maybe is when I started playing. I think around there. I just been playing forever, so yeah.
It's like 13 years old. I was like, look at Grant. Look at the young Grant.
Yeah, I've been playing forever. So yeah, I've just like never gotten tired of it. And I like playing tournaments. Tournaments are really fun. Every so often you'll go on a heater and do well in a tournament, and that's really fun.
Yes.
So yeah, it's great. I probably will not stop playing for the foreseeable future. And yeah.
That's awesome. Grant, thank you so much, man. We'll have your information in the description and everything below. Steuben, anything else?
No, that's it. I will also be at Milwaukee at NAIC. If you want to come hang out, come find me. I'll have the box of sheepy cards from everybody for Twitch and everything.
Hey.
So fun times on that. I'll probably put that Ampharos EX back in the box again. We'll go from there.
Let me do my math. So between next weekend and the following weekend, so between Milwaukee and NAIC, there'll be no Steuben streams. No Grant streams.
I'll try and if I can get Emily to sit down and play test your tabletop with me one night this week, maybe we can get the stream rolling.
Well, just this week though. I mean, between those 2 weeks of everything else going on,
we'll
maybe no Steuben streams, no Grant streams, no Azul, maybe no Mahone. You're trying to say no Tord. You're trying to say this is free real estate?
No one
that'll be interesting.
No one ever told you not to stream, Gazer.
I'm not going to stream against you pros who know how to play the game very well.
Yeah. Well.
Drop my link to my Twitch in below. I'm about to go on a streaming heater.
It's always there, Gazer.
Let's go. I'm about to start. You guys listen up. Gazer Beam's coming back. Streams are coming back. I'm dropping out of summer school. I'm not going to teach it after all. I'm streaming for the next 2 weeks while everyone's gone.
Yeah, what was the quote? F them kids is what you said before?
Hashtag F them kids, yes.
All right, yeah. And also hashtag lock him up, because people are going to take that out of context. But that'll do it for us this week. Thank you, Grant, for joining us. It was an honor.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, I guess that's it. So you guys make sure you listen to this on Spotify. Check out the YouTube video. Do not edit it out, Stu.
I will be doing some
editing. Snyder cut. Let it be released.
No. All right. Let's get on out of here.
All right, you guys. We're out of here. Thank you guys. Grant, thank you again. All right, everyone. Gust Podcast is out. Episode 11 is a wrap. Peace.
See ya.